Hey everyone, thanks for stopping in Arch's Garage. And today, in this kind of short video, we're going to be looking at an Ariens a mower with a Honda engine on it. And I pulled a bunch of parts off of a Husqvarna with a Honda engine on it. And so these machines came out of a spring cleanup I was doing in the dead zone, right? The dead area where machines go to die. Some of this stuff has been sitting around forever, and so I wanted to kind of, clean up, get all the parts machines together and go through them, get Wont loaded up and rescue anything I could. So this video, we're going to go over this beautiful machine, and I wanted to talk about a couple of things here, just to kind of set the tone. So obviously, we're going over the machine, so there's tips and tricks on if you have one of these, right, on, what you can expect and what to look for. But I think more importantly is a few things I want to point out. Now, this Ariens is, well, it was almost identical to the Husqvarna. And then it is also really almost identical to, for example, I'm working on a black Craftsman I'm going over right now. And so that's one of the points I want to make. I tried looking it up to see where the manufacturing is and what have you. And the thing is, it's very hard to say, right? There's a lot of stuff that is assembled here in the United States. And some of these manufacturers are using parts from everywhere from Taiwan to China to France to Italy. I mean, really, it is that kind of a world today. But more importantly, it could be that they could have contracted with, let's say, MTD or AYP to stamp out a whole bunch of bodies, and then they change some of the peripherals and the motor and some general design, something that Craftsman is well known for, and then they keep a lot of parts around for them. So you have great support in the case of Craftsman. Almost everything here is like, for what I can tell, it's like interchangeable. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing is that these are some of my favorite machines. So whether you have one, or maybe you come across one in a garage sale, or maybe somebody throws one out. Even better, right? You find one on the curb. I kind of want to point out, in this case, that I guess they're about 10 years old. We'll just kind of throw a number out there. So about 10 years ago, 10 years old, something like that. Look for these. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you'll see how I was able to sort of resurrect or revive this one. I did need some parts. I get this stuff. It's completely questionable when I get it. The one I had was missing stuff. Wasn't really sure what happened to it. So it's kind of like, you get to play investigator, try to figure out, what happened to this machine? Why was it thrown out, right? What was its demise? But with the Honda motor, which is very easy to service, with the kind of, we'll call it the MTD body, right? For lack of a better, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's AYP, but they're the same. These are heavy steel bodies. Front-wheel drive. Some come with the high wheel in the back or low wheel like this one. They're much heavier than what's out there today. They tolerate rust better. Again, they're really strong. I generally don't even see cracks on most of these bodies. There are a couple of places to look out for where that extra chute is on the side discharge. That's a spot. There are a few things to look out for, but so often this is the kind of machine that I look for to restore, revive. They're very strong. The weakest spot is the cables, but that's like every machine. And the front drive system needs to be cleaned up real good. And if anything goes wrong, if rust gets in there, too much dirt, the wheels will jam. And then, of course, the steel gear of the transmission will rip apart the plastic tire gear setup. But as I show in one of the videos here, and one of my other videos, and in a quick video I actually picked up from Fortree, a very nice set of aftermarket wheels. They're about maybe $30 to your door, right? You get brand new front tires with gears. How can you go wrong with that? So, again, the point I want to make here is that we're going to be going over it, but it looks so much like, and it really is, for all intents and purposes, everything fits. So I may not be able to exactly tell you that this is an MTD body or an AYP body, or it's an Ariens body or whatever. But these are branded machines. Ariens, Husqvarna, Craftsman, even some of the ones that actually say Troy-Bilt or AYP. Look for these. Consider them to be of really good value, comparable to something today that you would have to spend about $500 or $600 to get from a box store or whatever, because there's not that many places that are selling stuff anymore. There's very few, you know, the small guys are going out of business. So you're up against going over to a box store, getting one of these. I got one on the table, new pieces of crap for about $3 1/4 for a push machine. I think that's important, and I think you guys will find that I'm right on this. Even if I'm not, you know what? I feel I'm right. And these are the ones I like to sell, and I can tell you my customers are generally, they fall in love and they're very happy. So I think that's the key there. They know, many of them know they may have had one like this machine I have over here. I probably just show it real quick. It's better, right? It's better, and things aren't going to get any cheaper. So keep your eyes open. If you have one, you're lucky. Go through it, take care of it. If you don't have one, and maybe one is around in your neighborhood this time of year or whenever, and people are getting, you know, the end of the year they throw them out. Beginning of the year they throw them out because they don't start. And so they think running off to the box store is going to solve their problem. Think a little different. I have a lot of videos on this kind of stuff to help you guys out as well as others. Think a little bit different. Go for it. If you find one, buy one for $20, $30, see if you can fix it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Right? You can't do it. You're going to ruin a lawnmower that didn't work anyway. So let's get started on the video, and let me not hold you any longer in the intro. I just wanted to run past all that, fellas, just to kind of set the tone of what it is I'm doing in this video, and to inspire you guys to get out there and, you know, give it a shot, right? Think about what I'm saying. See if you come across one. Watch some of the videos that I have out there, and just give it some thought. And I think you can find a really nice machine for very little money, and I think it's going to be worth your effort. Let's get started. All right, I just want to show you guys some of the things that we can do. So although I cleaned this one off, I didn't clean in here, but we'll get that. We'll probably take this off. I see water damage, maybe even inside that coil. Let me turn the light on. Inside the end of this coil, it doesn't look good in there. This is one that was damaged most likely by mouse urine, but the underside is good. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me set you up. So this is one where I took off the plastic baffle in the back. It's just basically a Sears MTD, whatever, same chassis. So we need something for here, and I have it outside, but I'm thinking beyond that. I may have one around, but let me show you what I'm thinking. We'll go outside. Now this is one that I did in the spring cleanup. Now I didn't get a chance to look underneath it. I could already see the blades on backwards, right? And we don't know if they screwed up the mount or not. They probably did. That'd be my guess, as they may have. But I think what we'll do is we'll peel this off, and this tells me what size they want to use here, so I can see the blade adapter. And like I said, if either that one will work, but I figure if we can get this motor off, the motor actually is in a little bit better shape. I thought this machine was in better shape. See all the rot down here, right? Look at that. We don't want this, right? I should have thrown it out, but you know, I had so many machines I went through. But the motor looks good. So, and this is another one. I don't remember if I grabbed the handle. We see this cable might be shot. It looks like it's rusted. I think the one inside is the one where we grabbed the handle, but it has all the other stuff we're looking for. And it may even have some good tires. So I think we're going to roll this one up and part this one. That way we have another motor. We can get a look at what the motor looks like. We may have another carburetor. We may have another one of these, which is nice. This one seems to work. We don't need the start cable, but it would be nice to have a few extra things on it. So that's what I'm going to work on in a minute. Let me see if I can take the other motor off first. All right, this is the blade. It was on upside down, and they just mashed up those little dimples. I also see a bolt on its way out. We're going to try to take this motor off, but it may not come out from all the rust. It may not come out. So you could see when people don't know what they're doing, and that would have vibrated most likely. And not to mention, for a cheap blade, you screwed up a blade mount, which, you know, they may be inexpensive, but when there's rust, well, just in general, a lot of times they don't come off without a torch and a puller. But at least I have an idea now of what I'm looking for, because I forget. So, and it also depends upon the machine and the belt size. So we want this size pulley and this dimension here. And then we should be able to find a blade. Let me see if I can take this off. And if not, then we'll take what we can. All right, we got the correct part here. All right, I'm going to take this outside and clean it up. We're going to find a blade for it. And we'll clean all this up. Let me go outside with you and show you what we did turn up. Engine would not come off. Again, because when you try to impact it off, it just literally blammos the socket right off the head of the bolt. It's jammed on there. That's just common. They're better bolts. They tend not to twist and break and shear, but you know, the motor's not coming off, so that's not happening. But we did get the tank. We got a good pull starter. This carburetor is good. All right, mint. All right, so we got a good carburetor. I took the fuel line, a few other parts. I think this is probably better than the one we had, although there's some oxidation deep in there. I sprayed a little bit of my acid. That's a Lawmower that goes in there. So, and then we'll Q-tip it out. We'll wash that off and clean that up later. And a belt. And we also got the cover. One of the covers is broken. The carburetor filter air box. Got some broken tabs. This is good. This is actually the handle. This is standard for Craftsman and whatever. It's got the two handles on it on either side. That's the Easy Walk variant. That's the little bit nicer one, so that's fine. And I think that's about it. All right. So let me bring everything in. We got to find a blade next. We're going to clean a blade up, and then I got to check the gas tank and make sure it's clean. All right. Clean everything up. I lubed the shaft inside. I take this off so you can get the belt around it properly, and then put it back, and it came out. So you always want to make sure your surfaces are clean and that the blade fits well. Remember, the wing towards the deck. And I balanced this. This is a nice blade. A star blade. All right, let me blammo that on. And just going to put a little lube up there, maybe a little lube on the other side. And we'll put the baffle in. I got to find that. So we'll get all that done, and then we can work on the top. All right, all tidied up. I'm just going to flip it over and put a little bit more lube in the other side of that bearing and up in this bearing here, which is just the other version of that bearing. We are going to do the wheels, but you want to get them lubed from behind. You gotta get things moving again. Don't worry about dry lube and everything. It's dry and it ain't moving, so it needs to be lubed with real lube. Also got up in there. You can take your chain wax or chain lube into the cable that pulls on the drive transmission. So this looks good. I balanced this up, and just pulled the plug out here. Let me show you. It smells too. Might even have a little bit of water in it. We got to check the engine a little bit, so we're going to turn it over. I just want to check to see if we can move it. Can I move this? No. Let's see. Why am I not moving it? Because it's stuck. It's stuck on the blade. Anyway, I'm going to just check the blade just to make sure nothing is bent down here. And I have videos on that as well. And then if I feel okay, I'll flip it over in the other direction. We'll get those last two bearings and bushings. And then we'll work on the top. Yeah, see? But we have the other carburetor. This is savable. I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to put some of my specialty lube on. And then close it back up and put it away for now. But it is savable. If you can get it clean enough. I don't see much down in that jet. It looks pretty clean there. So it's just on the bottom. If the bowl isn't that good, well, it's not terrible. We can find other bowls. All right, blew it off a little bit. Everything looks good. I'm going to do a compression test, but before we do, I'm going to put a bunch of my special sauce in there. That one looks worse than the other one. I think I'm going to take this off and put the other one on, and I'll clean the flywheel a bit because it's nasty, right? It's got a lot of corrosion on it. It's so bad I might want to take it outside because it's going to make a lot of smoky yuck. So I might do it out there. But I just want to check. I'll let you know. I'll pop this off and I'll clean the flywheel real good, and we'll come back and maybe I'll even hit it down here a little, you know, and give the thing a quick blow off and a wipe down, and then I'll go to the carburetor. So I just kind of puked it over to here. I like to put the plug in and force that stuff into the cylinder and out whatever port
So like I said, we'll towel that off. I'll blow it off outside, but now I'm going to do a quick compression test and I'll let you know. All right, a little wire wheel, a little bit of the Scotch-Brite disc on the buzzy thing, a little bit of the acid wash, the Lawmower. That's that welding acid that I often talk about. And a quick wash, no degreaser. All right, this was already degreased. A quick wipe, a little blow with the air. It's getting a little bit late, so I think I'm going to stop here. I got a lot done today. And it's pretty much blowed out, so I think tomorrow is Easter, so yeah, I mean, why go any further? I'm getting tired. I'm going to rebuild that better carburetor. I also blew out these lines again, right? Because water infiltration, all of the bosses, right? Anything with threads blowed out. We're not worried about this yet, although we probably should look in there. But I also think that the blade is a little bent because I was checking it. So I think the best thing to do is get it all together and get it running. And we'll take it from there, all right? That plug looks good. I cleaned it up. All right? It's all on a budget, fellas. We don't even know what this thing's going to run. A gap to 28, 30-ish, 25 to 28 is what Honda says. A little bit of, remember there's a gasket on here, so if you put a new plug in, make sure you get it tight. It's going to feel like it's stripping, but it's not. That's already been compressed. And we got a little bit of no-sees on it. Let's go shove it in. And so I think we're going to put a little gas in and we should be ready. All right, moment of truth. It's probably going to smoke. Now, what I don't like is that what I'm seeing here is this. Okay, so this is pulled back. It's definitely actuating the choke, but it should be coming off, and it's not. And it could be because it's sticky. I did spray some coil up in here, but the engine bail is pulled back, and you should be in a race for this to move. So although I see the choke blade is closed, and when I go like that, it opens. Everything should be engaged, but see over here, I feel like it's getting stuck right here, like something's hitting. Yeah, something's not right. Well, we're gonna have to come back in here, be my guess. All right, let's run it for a little bit and take it to the next issue. Let's make sure it runs. It's gonna smoke. I like to use the steel pan. I can kind of see down there in the light. See? When you get a little bit thinner. And I was playing with it, you know, I was rolling through my fingers. I smell it though. It still has like lubricity. Lubricity? But it's got filth in it. A little bit of rainbow. You'd expect some, you know, just a tiny amount. But it smells. It's old and it's been sitting out. And a lot of it's settled to the bottom. And so it kind of looks clear when you touch it. But this is about what you expect. All right, let's get to the rest of this stuff and let me get rid of this. All right, so this is just, again, stuck. So I put some oil in and pulling it out all the way. All right, to simulate. It just got stuck. Everything is sticky. So same issue here. And I've been lubing it and blowing it, and you can see it's starting to move now, but I think it gets stuck at this one point. However, with the motor on, it will be vibrating. Right about here, there was like a little bit of a sticky spot. It's not that bad now, but I can feel it. Like, we're going to try to work it in. It might have gotten some grit up on the plastic. There's I think it's a plastic piece, right? It's part of this. And then there is sort of like a detent, like an arm that rides on it. And then there's another one that comes this way and actuates the choke. So I just want to spend a little bit more time, blow with the air, put a little more lube on, and this is what we're doing, and it's working better. So what you're seeing is I have the bail tied back, right, on the handle with Velcro. Use a clamp or something. And that way I can spend a little bit of time working on this. So I'm going to work that, and then we'll put it back together and put oil in it. And then we're going to come over here. Before we do another test, we're going to I'll just show you real quick. I'm just going to lube this up. When I clean them with the pressure washer, I then put some oil on everything. I let it druise, put the tires back on. This has been sitting for a while. And we're going to kind of do that again, but make sure everything is working properly. And then maybe a little bit of grease. I don't use much on these. You can, down in here, you can use a bit of a dry lube. I like to use, if you really want, you can use a graphite, would work good. But after you get it moving, and, you know, blow it out and wipe it out with a rag and get it lubricated with some oil and or chain wax and chain lube. If it's not moving, you're going to have to spend some time with some penetrants and some oils to get it moving again. Putting any kind of dry lube on, and when it's not working, when it's not moving, is silly. Clean it up nice. All right. I put a little, there was some, it broke in here a little bit. See, so I just put some hot glue in there. I just don't want the filth getting back in. Looks real good. Everything spins really nice. So I just lubed it up a bit more, and then I put a little bit of grease, but mostly oil. And if you want, I wiped it all out, blew it out a little bit. It's clean. It works good. This moves properly now. I did the backs already. I got an air cleaner on. I got some oil in it. I got to check it. So let me put this back on, and next thing is I'm just going to wipe the handle down, and these are stuck. So I want to get these working. People often like to put them in their cars, and it looks bad if that doesn't work, right? You say, oh, I went over everything. Okay. Last quick test. I want to make sure this is not going to jam up on us again. All right, we'll pull the choke all the way forward, and hold on. It's actually returning, so let me take the bail. Open up the bail. Okay. Now we'll pull the bail back. Sweet. It's all done, fellas. What do you guys think? I think it came out good. Saved from the trash. Right? This was trash. And then I had it for a few years in the hidey hole and over there on death row. So that big cleanup that I did that took, a couple of weeks of working on it over time between weather and all that. But I think it really paid off because I was able to kind of pickle a bunch of machines that offered parts, which we needed, and then throw out the garbage. And then for all the other machines that we're going to be working on, such as this one, because this is one of the ones that came out of that hidey hole. Now, just to back up, we needed a blade. We needed a blade adapter right off the bat before we even got running. It was really filthy, so it needed to be cleaned. I don't know if I put any, I don't know if I am going to put, or if I am putting any of that footage in there. It's not really that important. But a full wash, obviously, because there was urine damage up here, so we did a bit of a stabilization, a little cleaning, and my Aluma-Bright, and then I put a little bit of clear on some spots so it'll keep things from, turning right away. And it's a good automotive style clear in a spray can. Check out my Patrication series on stuff like that. Cleaned out the gas tank. We had a donor carburetor, which needed a little bit of work, but it was a good donor carburetor. Runs great. The RPM is about 3120. We don't need to touch it. On the engine itself, we're over here.
where I was showing you a little bit about, you know, the stickiness of the choke system. This is the original choke, one of the original choke systems, you know, on the more sort of modern ones, not the newest ones. That was sticky as hell. Seems to be working good. We cleaned up the coil. We did the plug. We did the oil, the Earl. This was really sticky. I pulled it. Seems to be working fine. Went through the transmission again, but the bones was there. The bones of this Ariens is like in really good shape. It is almost identical, really, to, it's probably made by MTD, be my guess, because it looks like the Craftsmans. It looks like the Huskies that are coming out now. I like the color. It's a little tinge darker. I actually like this color for oranges, and I want to see if I can get my hands on this color. Please remind me, fellas. Everything else is working. Adjusters. The only got to do is I want to tighten the handle. I think it may have had twisty knobs over here to adjust handle height, but I think that's the kind of thing that once you set that, I'm just going to make sure these are tight. I noticed they were moving a little bit. Let's see. I lubed the cables. I didn't need to do cables. All right, that's nice. So yeah, I mean, you know, pulling some parts. I think if you guys find something like this or you want to service yours, I just went over it real quick just to show you what is kind of involved. And when I resurrect one of these things and do a quick restification, it is more of a resurrection. Just kind of get it back from the dead. And I think somebody's going to have this is a really nice machine. The bones are good. It's solid. Everything is working good. It's even got tread left on the tires. Many years of good quality use for somebody that's willing to do the oil change and clean it off and put a little lubricant on it, and maybe bring it back to me and let me do an occasional, spring tune-up or whatever. I don't get too many of those. I get a few, but honestly, fellas, most people are going to run this thing back into the ground from where I got it. I'll see you on the next one. Hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Let's build this channel together. I count on you guys because it's really you guys that makes this happen. I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was a little bit quicker. And I mean, I enjoy it, right? Because look, I mean, I get to sell and work with something that is not an absolute piece of junk. It looked that way from the beginning, but it's not. I'll see you later.